Hi, this is Dr. Kimberley Linert, and you're listening to Incredible Life Creator Podcast. My guest today is Arlene Stearns. Arlene Stearns is an award-winning artist, personal stylist, teacher, and founder of the ImageUp System. Her family has deep roots in the fashion industry of New York City, and she was immersed in style since childhood. She has over 15 years in fashion as the owner of a clothing line and then as a stylist in an exclusive boutique, winning 4 national awards for her mix and match mastery. ImageUp was awarded Best Image Consultant 2021 in Cumming, Georgia. In partnership with her clients, she applies her background and artistic ability to help them create a personal signature style to look and feel fabulous. Over the years, more than 1,000 women have benefited from her style and fashion expertise. Welcome to the podcast, Arlene.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, and I have to say, you look beautiful today, and it's a perfect color.
Yay, it's vibrant. It makes me happy.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So just so people can get to know you, we mentioned artist, teacher, stylist. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and how you got started and how you got to be doing what you're doing now?
Okay, well, I was an educator in the Georgia schools for 30 years. And I started out teaching art and Spanish. Well, Spanish primarily, and then everything that was an overflow. I had a minor in art and I have a minor in English. So I would teach overflow classes in those areas. I've always been an artist, probably since I could pick up a crayon. Like I always loved doing art. And I was raised in New York, and art was a program from kindergarten up. When I was in middle school and high school, it was actually a class that you would earn credits for. And it was quite very structured. We did oils, we did acrylics, pastels, and we'd have critiques and showings. And so it was very much almost like a college class. Mm-hmm. So I've always had interest in art. Like I would collect things and paint them and all of that. Well, then my dad always said, like when I was 3 years old, even, I knew I was going to college. I didn't even know what it was, but I was going. And I always liked to play school as a child as well. So I'd get my stuffed animals and another girlfriend, and I'd be the teacher kind of thing, and that was fun. So that was part of the educational background. Mm-hmm. So I started out in Spanish, and then I realized that my son had a specific learning disability. Well, when something hits home like that, you want to become the expert in that area. This is quite a while ago, so there wasn't very much known. So I got my master's and a specialist degree in special education. So one time or another, I've taught like every grade level except for PE and kindergarten. And I finished up my last 13 years in middle school before I retired. I taught in Thompson, Georgia, which is in McDuffie County, and then also near the Augusta area. So I was at Lakeside Middle School for the 13 years. And I never really thought I would like that age group, but I did. So it just worked. And that was very fulfilling. But if I go, how did I become an image consultant? Wow, let's see. I've always loved fashion. My mom was a fashion model in the 1940s. And then my grandmother was a super fashionista, like a clothes horse. I was the only grandchild for quite a while, and she loved dressing me up from the Fifth Avenue stores. So by the time I was like 3 years old, I was walking down Fifth Avenue and was aware of the beautiful clothes, but she liked to kind of show me off to her friends. So that was part of the interest. And then, of course, as a teenager, clothes are the rage. I would save all my money and buy, beautiful clothes. So, but the one event in my life that really sparked becoming an image consultant was a really low time in my life. So I would say I was in my early 20s, and my self-esteem and my confidence were at an all-time low. At that point, I was going through a divorce. I was going to be the first one in my family to get a divorce. I lived in a little town of Thompson, Georgia, and my family wasn't around me. I was a school teacher, like a beginning school teacher, and my husband was a GBI agent. So we had all the connections, with the law enforcement and the judges and attorneys. And I just felt like, I didn't really have a chance. It was really scary because I've never lived on my own before, actually. And then to be, a single mom, all of that was super scary. And it just devastated me. I spent 5 years in a marriage that was very emotionally abusive until finally I said, okay, I have enough. I just have to get out of this. So my mom hated to see me so devastated. And she gave me one of the best gifts ever. It was a makeover at Saks Fifth Avenue. Well, I was like so thrilled, a little bit nervous, and I'm driving from Thompson thinking, oh, like, this is going to be exciting, but a little bit scary too. Like, how am I going to look in that? So my mom dropped me off, and I sat down in that stylist chair, and I gave her permission to do what she does best. She asked me what I wanted. I said, I want you to give me a hairstyle that's going to be flattering for me and fairly easy for me to maintain. And she started snipping away at my hair. And my hair at that time was long, dark, stringy, and just kind of hung. I had it parted on the side, and it had been that way in high school and all through college. So I was watching it kind of fall on the floor, going like, And then she did my makeup. And of course, I never really wore, at that point, never really had time to do much makeup. I did a little bit of lip gloss and maybe mascara, but she did my makeup. When I looked in the mirror, I was so amazed because gone was that college girl, and there sat a professional woman, like a professional woman. I had a hairstyle that was beautiful, but what was and it made me feel like $1 million. It's like a rebirth that started. And what was so amazing is my mother did not recognize me. And there's 2 levels at Phipps Plaza, and I was on the top level, she was on the lower level. I had to wave at her and kind of call out her name because the transformation was that huge.
Wow.
Like I looked totally different. And I felt like that $1 million. And I really like to create that kind of sparked that interest in, wow, I could do this for other people possibly. Of course, when I went back to Thompson, Georgia, they were amazed at my transformation. And then it just didn't stop at hair and makeup. We went clothing shopping, and we started with foundations. So we had to get some things that were a little bit sexier than grandma panties and stuff. And foundations are really, wasn't really realizing how important foundations were for your clothes to look better as well. And so I remember the first outfit that we picked out really vividly. And it was unique colors, like really like artist colors, vibrant colors. And that. So there was a hot pink jacket and a turquoise silky shirt and a gray skirt, and it all tied together with this belt that had all the colors in it. So it was just really unique. It was grown up. I did not look like a college student or a teacher. I looked like a professional. And so that shift, like when you look good, you start feeling good, and that confidence builds in you. But that sparked really what I'm doing today, because as a teacher, I always had kind of a side gig, as a single parent, always wanted some more money. And so I had a clothing line I represented for over 10 years, and I did extremely well with it. And then when I retired, I worked in the boutique. And I just prattled on, but let me see, I'll let you ask me another question. So I hope people get to know me a little bit better. I have a different background, a wide variety of interests.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I just when you said, my mom was a fashion model and my grandmother was a fashionista, I'm thinking, boy, what kind of a household did you grow up in? Just really, really different. And
It was different, but I was the oldest, and then there were three other younger siblings. So, like, as I was a teenager and worked as a babysitting and that, I would save my money and buy some of my own clothing. But I was raised with clothing being important. And when I was old enough to know, like, my mother would instill in me, like, the value you place on yourself is the value others will place on you. And they're going to look and see you first. And if you don't have pride in yourself, they're just going to not take you seriously. And then we had school clothes, we had play clothes, and then really dress up clothes, whether it's church or party clothes. And, you didn't mix those. Like 3 pair of shoes, like your party shoes or church shoes, school shoes, and tennis shoes to go out and play in.
mm-hmm.
So I learned how to take care of my clothes as well.
Mm-hmm. So I have a granddaughter who's 2.5 now, but even when she was really young, when my daughter's putting her ponytails in or putting these clothes on her and she loves to dress her up, and the baby's like crying, like she doesn't want to get the ponytails in her hair. And my daughter will say to her, beauty is pain, beauty is pain. And I'm thinking, I want to look beautiful and be comfortable. So can we look beautiful and be comfortable?
Yes, definitely. And that is my motto. As I wardrobe people, it's really important that it's their signature style, as not mine at all. It has to represent them from their inside, because I do some assessments, like a little mini assessment that gives me their strengths and then identifies their zone of genius. So I make sure that their wardrobe and their image represents that, is in alignment with that, so that they're really, because your image is your essence, and it's a way that you express yourself on the outside. Mm-hmm. And it's important. People think, if they dress up, or even not truly dress up, because most things aren't dressed up anymore, like do the business casual. That's been taken in a lot of places to the extreme, where for companies, I was called in to do some training or a webinar on what business casual should really look like. And it shouldn't be like torn up jeans and flip-flops and that kind of thing. So companies are having a harder time with that. And some people seem to have, like, you can't be put together and comfortable, but you can. That's what's important. And, my clients are comfortable with what they're wearing, and they have to love it, because my advice is, when we're trying on things together, if you don't love it, then it's just going to hang in your closet, and you don't need more things just hanging in your closet that you're not going to wear. And they have to sense that comfort within them. Mm-hmm. So every once in a while, I ask them to kind of step out of the comfort zone a little bit, and they're amazed, because all of a sudden they'll see different possibilities for themselves that they didn't even know existed.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes sense, because I know I'm drawn to the same colors all the time. Today I'm wearing blue. I like blue. It's one of my good colors, but my favorite colors are really red for wearing. I like to wear red. So I find myself going towards the reds and the oranges and my favorite colors. So I look in my closet and I keep them in color stacks. So
right.
like, there's a big old red section here.
That's for passion, girl.
big red section, big black section, because you can't go wrong with black, and then just kind of mixed in everything else. But it is true that it would really be helpful to get an outside perspective of someone who understands the psychology of the colors and the shapes and everything, to find something new. It's so hard to find something new. At least I do. I want to keep picking similar things.
Right. Because sometimes we get so comfortable with just this one look, and we buy that one look over and over and over again. People have even made the same mistake of like buying the same exact thing, forgetting that they had it in their closet because their closet was kind of so packed. Most women only wear like 20% of their clothes. So 80% is like wasted. So, so one of the things that I do is I assess your body type. And there are actually 48 different body types, which is just like blew my mind. I didn't know there were 48 different body types. And I don't want to be equated to a piece of fruit. So
I didn't like that either.
I don't want to be an apple or a pear or whatever. I just said, like, no, I am more than an apple or a pear. So the artist in me uses a geometric shapes. And so once I have a few of your measurements, I can actually look up what your body type is, like specifically, and then generate a list of what's never going to look good on you. Even if you lost 10 or 20 pounds, your frame, your actual silhouette is not going to change. Your bone structure, your shoulders are always going to be a certain width. Your hip bones are not going to be moved either. Your size can change, but your actual structure is not changing. So I'll generate a list of what's never going to look good on you ever. And then also another list, which is even more important, what's always going to look fabulous on you. The styles that are really going to have you shine, that are going to like accentuate your assets, as I like to call it, and, show it off. So then when we get the list of what's never going to work for you, we got to work on your closet and get out the things that are never going to work for you. And then I'll look at the treasures you've got left in your closet, which is usually, a good amount still. And I put together outfits in a creative way that you might not have ever thought of. And invariably people will find things that they didn't know they had. And go, oh my God, some things will have the tags on still. Maybe it was an impulse buy. But I'll put together outfits with the treasures that you have and the accessories that you have, and take pictures of it so that you have that book, like that what goes together. And for people's closets that weren't organized, you talked about having the colored sections and that, I organize it in a certain way that it makes it functional and easy for them to get dressed for any occasion. And then I know what the gaps are. So I do the pre-shopping, which as the style expert, I know everything that you have. And if you have things in your closet that really that are still functional, they're still usable in that, but they might just need like a little pizzazz, little pop of color, some little accessory, I'll take it with me and work with the things that you have and then fill in the gaps. And I do that before you ever show up. And we have a fitting room that's reserved for us that's a lot larger than the normal fitting room. And it's in a private area. And then we start playing with the clothes and trying on the different outfits. And again, we'll take pictures. But the three most important things as a stylist, in my advice, is that it really needs to fit you. It shouldn't be too tight, too baggy. It should flatter. Okay, going to the next thing. It should just skim your silhouette. And then the second thing is it should flatter you. So it could fit you, but not flatter you, or vice versa. So it needs to be flattering. It needs to hit you in the right places. And all of that comes from that list in my expertise. And, we try to not have so many horizontal lines cutting ourselves up. So I can make, no matter what size or shape this, my clients in, I can always make them look taller and slimmer in what they're wearing.
I'm like 5'1" and something. I always want to look taller and slimmer.
Right. Most people do. And it's amazing though, because our fashions, the average American woman is like 5'4" and weighs 160 pounds. But our fashions are designed for a tall, thin, young model, not the typical American woman at all. So right off the bat, we're kind of at a disadvantage, what's even being offered.
That makes sense. So talk about the choosing our style in ages. Let's say you have a 20-year-old, a 40-year-old, a 6-year-old. Are we looking at different things as we go into different phases of life?
Yes, because a 20-year-old is probably going to be trendy, and vibrant. And I mean, not that we're not vibrant as we're older, because I like to think of myself as vibrant, but probably go for more trendy and youthful things. And as we age, we want to be age appropriate, but we don't want to look dowdy and frumpy. Mm-hmm. And that's where, as we're getting more mature, women have said, like, I'm such and such age, and but I still feel young, and I don't want to look frumpy, and I'm not really sure what to wear anymore. Mm-hmm. And so, when I'm out and about, I always notice what people have on. And so one of the places that we go dancing, there's like, she's 80 something years old, and she's wearing these tight jeans with sparkles all over her butt. Now, that's not attractive for an 80 something year old woman. It's like not appropriate. Mm-hmm. If she were 19 or whatever, yeah, like fantastic. She is slim, but still it's just not appropriate. Mm-hmm. So yeah, as for careers, I like to think of simplifying your wardrobe and having core pieces, and then adding some accent things to make it pop. And I think no matter what your age is, the core pieces are important to just have like a workable, functional wardrobe of some core pieces.
Mm-hmm. So talk about when we have our relaxing fun days. We're having a picnic, we might even be someplace where we might get a possibility of getting a little dirty or sweaty or whatever. I'm not talking about working out, but just our more relaxing days, or I'm going to just go shopping with my girlfriends. So sometimes I know I'm like, oh, this is my off day. I'm just going to put a t-shirt and jeans. I don't look good in that. It doesn't serve me at all. So what kind of, I don't know if you want to say rules, but what guidelines can you give us as far as, okay, how can we go out and be comfortable and in that relaxed, casual, but still look good?
Okay. I always believe in looking put together, because you represent not only you, but if you have a business, you are that billboard for that business everywhere you go. Mm-hmm. So you could be at the lake or a picnic or one of the amusement parks, and you never know, or the grocery store, you never know who could be maybe a potential client of yours, who you're going to run into. So you don't want to look like a hot mess ever, really. And it's not hard to look put together. I mean, you can have a nice pair of jeans. I did like a whole little blog and video on like moms staying at home and have little children that run around. They can have like a nice pair of jeans that really fits them, and a t-shirt. And now the fad is kind of tuck it in the front, leave it out in the back. And if they're going out, just put a little fun necklace on, or some earrings on, some lipstick. You look put together. You don't look like you're in your husband's big sweatshirt in, sloppy, holy stuff that doesn't fit you right. Because I know that for the younger folks, having the distressed look is really in, and even that can look, trendy and nice if it's put together.
That makes sense.
It's not usually right for the office kind of thing, but it can look, put together.
And now at the other end of the spectrum, what about you're going out to a nice dinner, or you're going to go dancing, or what's you talked about the 80-year-old woman should not be wearing jeans with sparkles on them. So what is a good outfit or choices for people if you're going to go out? Because when you go out, you want to stand out, but you don't want to look ridiculous.
Right. I'm going to reflect back to looking like the mess again for a second. There is something that Lady Gaga said that I found really, really funny. So let me see if I can find it. Let me see. I had it here. Oh, let me see if I can find it. Or maybe I can just paraphrase it. So, oh, here it is. I feel that flip-flops are the downfall of many relationships. It's like, it's flip-flops, and then it's sweatpants. And it's a gateway drug to no sex. So it's like your appearance plays a big role in attracting your mate, how you attracted your mate, or attracting your partner. And then also keeping that mojo alive. Mm-hmm. So yeah, when you go out and have date night, it's wonderful to look put together. And you can have a simple black dress or a simple dress in like your favorite color red, you know, and just put on, if it's appropriate, you know, a necklace, earrings or a necklace. Usually I advise, especially if it's a big statement necklace. Mm-hmm. So that's why I have the statement necklace on. I decided not to do earrings. Or if I had big statement earrings on, I wouldn't do a necklace. Or if you have a little necklace on, you could do, you know, both of them. Like yours is a much smaller necklace. It's beautiful. So you could do earrings with it as well. And I always think putting on a heel, it doesn't have to be a stiletto. It can even be a wedge heel, whatever, or kitten heel, whatever is comfortable for you. It's not attractive to be teeter-tottering, you know, trying to balance yourself on heels. So a kitten heel or just a wedge heel, which is really solid. And now some of the heels are, you know, a little bit high, but they're chunkier, and that, so there you have more stability. So I think it's really important because it's a special evening. And I think that you need to dress up in what you feel that you look fantastic in and you're comfortable in.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I know when I want to put on those really high heels, I'll wear my flats in the car. I'll get there, I'll put them on, and I got to have a date because I can't walk by myself. They're too high, they're too thin, and I need someone just in case I might topple over.
Right. When I wear the real high heels, it's sort of like, okay, so I want to be like valet park, where I'm just going to make an entrance into the restaurant and I'm going to sit. You know, I'm not going to be doing any walking per se. I'm not going to dance in them either. And that. So it's just like, I'm just going to like pose with them on.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So, is there anything else? I know you know so much stuff. Is there anything else you would like to share about that? Because I'd like to talk about some other things.
I think I've got it covered, because I think dressing up makes the occasion even more special for you.
Mm-hmm. So I'd kind of like to go back to your story where you were talking about, you were a young mom, you were a single parent, you had a son who started having, or he had some learning difficulties. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and just how you kind of made your way through that? I mean, you highly educated yourself, but on a day-to-day basis, if there's other people who are in the same situation, how did you go through that? What things helped you?
I got some more help, even though I was super, super educated in the area. There's that emotional component when it's your child. And it's really difficult to try to tutor your own child. And so he was in private school, and at different times he received tutoring. And it wasn't for me because I had done it all day long, and it was just too hard to go home and do it again. By that time, you're not quite as patient, and that's really important. So I got that help. And he had his gifts, because a specific learning disability means that you're weak in an area, but you've got strengths. And so he played towards his strengths. And now he's a very successful man, married, doing very, very well, living out in the Augusta area. So, I'm very, very proud of him. He's like my masterpiece. And I would instill in him, like, just try your best. Just try your best.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the most important thing. And then I feel like it's important, especially if you're a single parent, to ask for help. Even if you know how to do it all, it's just different when it's your child. It's hard to be that patient.
Mm-hmm. And was there any tools or things you did to kind of boost your own self up to keep yourself going? Like, some people do meditation, some people have just friends that they talk to. What were the things that were your support?
I developed some really good friendships that that a few of the people are deceased now, but they were really my rock. And at different times we would walk with both of my friends. We would walk, but with one friend, it was at one point in my life, it was so hard to fit in another thing that I would drive to her house, because she was on a private road. I would drive to her house at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I would do it with her in the early morning, because then there's no excuse. Mm-hmm. And that was just such a time that was like just so sacred, because we could just barely whisper. You didn't want to wake up. We didn't want to like alarm any of the dogs, have the dogs barking in the neighborhood or whatever. And we'd see shooting stars, and it was just beautiful to have that calming way to start your day. So it was healthy, calming, and just really therapeutic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a walk in the morning is so important, or some type of morning ritual where you're, especially if you can get out into nature.
Right. And so that was special. Mm-hmm. And then I would confide in like those two friends, so they knew like everything. And every once in a while, they would go, "Oh, Arlene, it's a weekend or whatever," because I did date some, and they'd go like, "Todd could spend the night over at our house," or whatever. And that was a big relief too, to not have to do childcare.
Oh yeah, that is wonderful.
And now I have a whole ritual that I do in the morning that, like, I start my day with a cup of hot green tea, and I read these different prayers. And I have just this quiet time that's just to myself in the morning. Mm-hmm. And even if I'm traveling, I make sure that I get up early enough to do that, because I feel grounded and ready for my day then. Mm-hmm. And I try to fit a walk in every day. So now, if in this hot summer, of course, I'm walking in the early morning, not in the heat. But while the temperature is really nice, like today, I would sit at the computer for a while, and then I walked after lunch. So it gave me like a break from the computer, which I'm not a big sitting down computer person all day. I don't like to do it day in and day out.
So, how important is it for us to actually have that self-care?
It's extremely important, because you can't give what you don't have. You need to replenish yourself. And self-care is really a necessity, whether it's just taking a hot bath, just having some quiet time, even if you have to get up like an hour before the whole rest of the family gets up, to just have some time to yourself, to reflect on what's important to you. Even just not doing anything, just staring off into space or whatever. But it's your time to do what you want. Mm-hmm. And I feel like maintaining your image is part of your appearance, is part of that self-care as well. Mm-hmm. Having your hair done, not all the time, but, to have a hairstyle, to get your nails done once in a while. It doesn't have to be every week. You can do them yourself. Mm-hmm. Having a bubble bath, or just some time, having space to read a book, for a half hour. So just having that time replenishes you, just makes you a better person, and makes you that are able to make a difference in other people's lives.
Yeah, so many times, especially, women, we are constantly taking care of everyone else, at home, at work. We volunteer for everything, and then we're kind of left empty. So how do you balance that, or how do you make, do your responsibilities or things you want to do to help out and still take care of yourself?
I just kind of plan it that I do plan some alone time. Like I said, I get up early in the morning to have that quiet time. And I try to set some boundaries too, to realize that I can't be everything to everybody. And I really need to start. It's not selfish to start with you first, because then you have the resources and the energy and that to help others, to serve others.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and now it's a little bit easier because it's just me and my husband. It's much easier to create those boundaries, to have that quiet time. But even when my son was young, like I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, it's and ran over like a mile or two away and walked before he ever got up.
Mm-hmm. Now you have a group where you're supporting women. Why don't you explain about that, your Ultimate Life group, and what you're doing there?
Okay. Well, there's 3 different ways that I'm supporting women, and Your Ultimate Life is one of them. So one of my colleagues came to me recently, and this spurred the idea of this new program that I'm offering. She had 2 or 3 virtual interviews, but she was going for her first in-person interview. And she hasn't been in corporate, let's say, in 5 years. She said, Arlene, I have no idea what to wear. And this was during COVID still. And so we came up with a virtual solution where I gave her directions on what to do. She sent me the pictures, and I selected the outfit for her and told her why the other ones weren't going to work. And we selected her outfit. She had the in-person interview. She nailed the interview, and she stepped into the leadership position of a high-paying job. So I'm offering that to women. I can do it virtually. So if you have like a major event happening or an interview, I was thinking like ImageUp for your interview. Basically, that's what I'm calling it, because 65% is of all communication is nonverbal. And the minute they see you, they assess you immediately and decide, based on what you're wearing, whether you're competent and credible. So it's the first hint of your competence and credibility. And that's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. And so, you could have all the credentials in the world, but if you don't show up put together, you're not going to get the job, because they'll listen to you, that your image speaks volumes before you ever utter a word. So that's an important service. Then, because of COVID, like last year was so devastating because nobody went anywhere, did anything, and they could just stay at home, just making sure they look good from their waist up. Mm-hmm. And so I came up with a virtual program where it's a 6-week program. And again, it's ImageUp to increase your confidence, visibility, and profits. Mm-hmm. And we're looking at like dressing the body you have right now. I always hear like, oh, I need to lose 10 pounds before I get clothes or something. And some of the people will be like, it's been years, they still need to lose the 10 pounds. I'm just thinking, seriously, you deserve to look good like right now. You deserve to have something that, goes together, that matches, that minimizes your size. You know, everybody's got an area that they're not as happy with, and there's ways to camouflage it. And then there's ways to really bring out the areas that look fantastic, to highlight those. So I've created that program. And so it's a 6-week program. It's going to launch on June 29th. It's going to be on Tuesday nights from 7:30 to 8:30. And during that 6 weeks, they'll also have a private consultation with me for an hour. So yes, but it's going to be very small group, like 5 people or less. So that way everybody gets a lot of attention, and then they'll get an hour with me just solo. So if there's something they want to discuss that they don't want anybody to hear, no, it's fine, that's her opportunity.
That's
so that program will be launching June 29th. I feel like I can reach out and help a lot more women that way than my one-on-one program. And I love my one-on-one program. It brings me so much joy to empower women and for me to kind of take them through that journey and watching their confidence grow. And I mean, it just brings me enormous joy. So I think they'll be able to, I know I'll be able to touch more lives doing it virtually. And if somebody then, like location, it's not a possibility for them to be in Atlanta for me to do it with them. Or financially, it's just not in their budget for me to do it one-on-one with them. This is much more affordable. It's $597, $97 down, and 2 payments of $250. So it really makes it more feasible for most people. Mm-hmm. And then, okay, again, trying to just creative because it's my year to expand. Brenda Holly, who is a life coach, and I are doing Your Ultimate Life. And it's going to launch probably in early August. So we're working on the launch. We want it to be successful. So we're getting some outside help in that with, looking at other people's expertise because technology is not my expertise. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to put that together. We're putting that together. We have the content developed. We've created it. And it's a 7-week class, and it's going to be, I think it's on Wednesday night, but it's every other thing. It's every other week. And it's from, I think we decided to do it from 7:30 to 8:30 again. And also, again, there'll be some private time with both of us. That image does impact every single aspect, every single important aspect of your life. And most people don't realize that. It hits health. People don't see that, but when you have a good self-image, you're more likely to take care of yourself and make doctor's appointments and all of that about self-esteem. So you're more likely not to be, go into the depression and all of that kind of things. So health, it affects relationships. Whether you're in a relationship, have a significant other or spouse or not, it affects every relationship. Mm-hmm. So your colleagues, your boss, how they treat you, how they see you, the respect that you get, how well you're valued. So relationships, what other areas? All of a sudden my mind went blank, but I know there's more. So your job, okay, your career, major impact on your career. Then also your money. So pretty much your image is going to decide on what kind of job you're going to be suitable for, and then your money. So there's been all kinds of studies in that where it was like work your image at the workplace or something like that. There was a study, and 64% of the participants said that their image, their appearance played a significant role in whether they got a promotion or a raise. and 76% agreed that it was their appearance, whether they were taken seriously or not. And we all want to be heard, and we want to be taken seriously. It's really important. And along with that, whether you were invited to some high-level meetings with the upper management, all based on your appearance and your image. And then I have a whole lesson on the image as well, going through some of the things that we would do in the group class, but in my specific class, touching on some of the areas about how you deserve to really look your best no matter what size you are.
So what does money have to do with it? There's some people that they're going to have just the elite brands and they're going to pay for that elite brand, and that's all they're going to wear. But then there's people, let's say they're in, middle management. They don't have that kind of income to buy, whatever that higher brand is. So do you need to spend a lot of money to look good to get those promotions? Do you have to have that branding? What does that play? Because there's some people that they just have to have that.
Some people do have to have like the Louis Vuitton bags and all of that stuff. To me, it's not necessary to have that. Those are status kind of symbols. You don't need to spend $3,000-$4,000 on a purse or the Chanel bags, which are a lot more than that, and to have a C on your bag or whatever. But if somebody wants to do that and it's within their budget to do it, it's in their means to do it, let's say, that's fine. But to me, it's not necessary to go to those extremes to have those kind of status symbol brands, because that's what they are really to me. I never feel like somebody has to have that particular purse to prove that they're worthy. They can have a beautiful bag that costs a fraction of whatever, that's all leather, that's beautiful, and that's serviceable, and look put together. So when I go shopping, I'll work within somebody's budget for one thing. I ask them, what are they willing to invest? At one of the stores that I go to, my clients get at least a 20% discount, even if nothing is on sale. Sometimes 30%, but at least 20% if they're working with me. And I look for designer things that are not the elite designer things, possibly the most elite, let's say, that I get at a good price. And I feel like it's important to invest in certain pieces that will be classic pieces that you'll keep for a long time, because they're not going to go in and out of style when you invest in some classic pieces. But even those don't have to cost a fortune. But they're a little bit more of an investment. So you do get back that investment that you invest in yourself through the promotions or raises, for being heard, being visible. But it doesn't have to cost a fortune. It's going to cost you some, obviously, but it doesn't have to cost a fortune. So I'm not the bargain hunter person that has to just buy things that are on sale, because you wind up with a mishmash of stuff that doesn't go together, but you got a good deal. But what's a good deal then if you're not going to be wearing it? You don't know how to put it together. But I have a knack for finding designer things, putting them together for my clients at a really good price. So they've been amazed. Especially, I've also helped men as well. And they're, of course, easier because they almost have like a uniform, but they were amazed at what I could put together for them at such a good price too. And they had the designer labels in them and easy care and all that. So, like I like Calvin Klein and Tahari and Antonio Milani and what other ones, Ralph Lauren, but a lot of times, especially now, because people were not shopping, a lot of times you can find really good prices on those. And that's what I have a good eye for.
Wonderful. So, if people wanted to work with you or contact you and have a conversation, how would they contact you?
Well, I offer a free consultation, like a 30-minute consultation, and it's called your signature style profile. So they would just reach out to me. They could go to my website, which is imageupsystem.com. I've kept everything consistent. So on Facebook, it's ImageUp System. On LinkedIn, it's ImageUp System. And then my email is Arlene@ImageUp System. So it's like I've kept it very, very consistent. And yes, they can schedule it on my website. They could contact me through Facebook, just direct message me, because it's Arlene Stearns. It's Stearns. And yes, just set up a time. I'd love to chat with people about where they are in their style journey, where they really want to go, what are their goals, and then we make a plan on how to get you there.
I love it. I love it. Thanks. So I just want to change gears a little bit and just ask you something personal.
Sure.
So what gives you the most happiness and fulfillment in your life at this point?
Of things that have already happened? Okay. I guess seeing my son grow up to be a successful man, seeing him struggle and overcome those struggles to become confident and successful with his life. Seeing the light bulb go off with the children I worked with, they would be struggle and I would try to, maybe explain it in a different way, or maybe just put it on hold for a while. Maybe they weren't ready for that concept or whatever. But when you saw that light bulb go off, it was just like that aha moment. It gave me great joy. And now working with women, seeing that what I do empowers them also brings me great joy.
Wonderful. Well,
and then just things that I like to do, like I do like to paint. I love traveling. And I've been to, about, I think 44 states. I think there's only 6 states left that I haven't been to. And I only count the states if I've done something in that state. And so I just have like the Dakotas, what else? Wisconsin, Nebraska, Iowa, very few, just a handful. So I was looking for people to do that with me because my husband goes, I've been to those states and there's not that much to do in Nebraska. I even live there. And so he's not that willing to go. And I'm going like, I have to like cross it off my bucket list. And so far I've been to every continent except for South America and Antarctica. And I had a trip planned to South America last year. And of course that was canceled. Then my husband and I met ballroom dancing. And so we love to go ballroom dancing. It just is fun. It's a great way to socialize. And it's sort of just, just add something that we do together that's fun.
All right. Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today and for sharing all of your tips and expertise. It's just been wonderful, very eye-opening.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Yeah. So I have one last question before we complete.
Okay.
What is your best advice on living an incredible, amazing life?
You have a choice every day. Your clothes are a choice. What you do is a choice. You can choose to do something that you're passionate about, that brings you joy, and look for the joy and the gifts in just the little things, the birds singing, the flowers blooming, the cup of coffee, a rainbow, even the rain, just all of those things can bring you joy because happiness is going to come from inside you, and you have the power to make yourself happy.
All right. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you again soon.
It was wonderful, Dr. Kimberley Linert. How do you say your last name?
Linert.
Leonard. Okay. I loved being here. It was wonderful. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.